know, at the end of the day, we are all just a series of nerve clusters piloting meat suits, riding on a rock, spinning around a ball of gas that's flying through an ever expanding universe in
In
5D.
5D.
You see, that one was kind of appropriate.
Gee,
Kind of. It
I,
fit-ish.
I wonder what kind of week you've had.
Honestly, where it came from, the new hire process at my work involves me every week discussing what my gender pronouns are, and my wife can overhear me through the wall. And what I used to say was, I don't care about my gender pronouns. You call me whatever you feel comfortable with. And she's like, look, you sound really condescending. And I was like, that's truly not my goal. My worldview is already so broken that I can't think of anything that matters less than what bit of genitalia I have and a designation therefore.
Yep.
So what I've had to change it to this week in an effort to sound less condescending was pronouns are a much larger conversation than an hour-long meeting can provide, so you call me whatever is comfortable. And I feel like that is the closest I can get to discussing how I feel about my place in the world. And she's like, well, but don't you just go by he, him? And I was like, yes, but in recent years, I've had to consider, do I do that out of convenience or do I do that out of a genuine feeling of something? And let's be fair, I only have a loose grip on reality as a whole, let alone a tie to my meat suit that I'm in. Like, you know me, I'm a step away from solipsism. I'm not a solipsist. I've seen genuine hurt in the eyes of other beings, and therefore I believe that they're at least real. But really, beyond believing that me and other people exist, my general view of reality is fucking out there, not for everyone, and questionable at best. So to try and, like, bother to tie gender to anything, get fucked, bro. I don't have time for that shit. Whatever works.
Yeah, you know what? The weirdest part is that you and I 100% disagree, but in a different way about that. Because when they ask me, I go, ah.
Yeah,
Because
whatever works.
like you described, there isn't something I care about less in general. Like, cool. I'm sorry if I fuck up some pronouns here and there. I will be
I
apologetic.
mess it
Like,
up, but I try to
yeah,
make
yeah,
people
yeah.
comfortable.
Like,
That's my only goal.
I'm very much a no offense, and I would rather, like, it's okay. And instead of risk fucking up, I just, maybe I'll just call you by your first name if that's okay. But I do tend
Yeah.
to ask folks.
I use a lot of bro and dude, and I realize that those are apparently masculine, but what people really have to understand is I use bro and dude so
Oh
interchangeably
yeah,
that it applies to inanimate objects, celestial bodies, men, women, animals. It's truly a catch-all term in my eyes.
oh yeah. No. Example: you're
Uh,
watching a simulation of a comet strike, and the moon, knocks it off base and it doesn't hit Earth. The moon's being a bro.
I have even simpler. I've literally, and everybody has done this, you kind of walk through a doorway but misjudge the space you have and you shoulder check the edge of the door. I have 100% out loud shoulder checked a door frame and gone, bro, and kept moving. So it's truly, it just means thing that I am talking to right now.
Fair enough. Also, who knows? Somewhere in the back of Beyond, I don't fucking know if things have, thoughts. Like,
Or even
they
a
just
designation that
maybe
we
they
were
can't
not previously
fucking,
made aware of.
yeah. Maybe they just can't communicate. What the fuck do I know?
Right. And so that's where I land on, like, the look, whatever works. You want to call me a potato? Call me a potato. It's not at all offensive. I don't care.
As long as it's not made in a derogatory way, because I'm all about, like, respect given. But
Honestly,
yeah.
I've been insulted a few times and thought it was adorable. So even then,
Oh no,
my
I mean,
wife's
like,
brother really likes to
normal
call people
folks.
princess, and I'm like, you
Oh,
know what? I am a princess, motherfucker. I am the prettiest punk rock princess you're ever gonna deal with, bitch.
I do like when folks are very condescending to me because I usually think I could end you. And then I just
I've killed
move
people
on.
bigger than you.
But it just happens in my head, right? There's no action. There's a slight twitch at the corner of my eye, and then I just move on.
You want a random story? Just speaking of like weird, okay, dark twist, killing
Ooh.
people. But you want a random story I did not know about?
About killing people?
Back in I think it was 1997. Apparently, someone called into the Howard Stern show.
Oh,
and
yeah.
openly admitted to murdering like 12 prostitutes.
A serial killer calls into Howard Stern. Yeah,
I never heard this story, and they've never figured out who it was. There was a guy in the area he claimed to be in who did kill 2 prostitutes, and a lot of people think it was this person, but that's never been confirmed.
That's kind of insane.
I never heard this story.
I'd heard of it, but it was always one of those stories like you hear the what is it, the coast to coast radio stories and all that.
Well, I mean, now that we live in the lovely age of YouTube, you can actually pull up the entire conversation.
Ooh, have you listened to it?
Yes, I have.
How bizarre is it?
You know,
like, was he nonchalant?
And that's honestly the problem, because somebody who is that nonchalant is 50-50.
Yeah,
either he's 100% legit and doesn't care, or he's totally taking the piss.
Yeah, that's like he's 100% trolling. I'm just reiterating what you're saying, but yeah, or he's fucking serious, because either way he's keeping his shit together.
And the whole reason he's calling in is because he's going like, Howard, I don't know why I do this. I just do this, and I have to like say it out loud. I have to talk about it. And that gives like that casualness is kind of serial killer.
Yeah, it's very detached, and also the whole concept of like, well, I don't know why I am the way that I am.
Yes,
it's a compulsion. So it was either a very, very well crafted and acted character, or
and the story is consistent. Because, Howard and Robin are doing their thing and they fuck up details, and he'll correct them to things he said. So his story was at least worked out.
Yeah. So is this something that we all just like brought back up recently because of the YouTube algorithm?
Possibly.
Interesting. I wonder how something comes back into the, what do they call it, zeitgeist?
Apparently there are a couple of Reddit threads because, and believe it or not, a few times Reddit has actually solved cold cases. They have.
And except for that one time where it went horribly wrong, and they alerted the wrong person. So
which does, but they have solved. So there are a couple of Reddit threads dedicated to this, but so far it remains unsolved. But I just thought, like, I listened to the thing, and man, that was fascinating, terrifying, but fascinating.
Isn't it still interesting that in this age of technology you can still not be found?
I mean, again, this happened in 1997.
Still,
so there's only so much like going. And at the end of the video I watched, at least said the very next day Howard Stern was contacted by the FBI. They turned over all the recordings, and then he has actually never publicly mentioned it since. And I would imagine that was the FBI going, "Hey, shut this down. Like, don't." Yeah, because the guy did say he was all ready to like have a signature and leave taunting notes to the police and try and play the cat and mouse game. But it took them so long to find the first body that by the time it happened, he had stopped. He was already disinterested, and he just never got the chance to play that game.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy ass people. And
yeah.
Well, it's just the concept of humanity and consciousness is a fascinating one, which is what I always fall back on.
And I hate to say it, as dark and terrifying, and let me put it out on the line right now, wrong, as that kind of thing is, I do find the mentality fascinating, because even me, who's a pretty out there guy, admittedly, the more I talk about myself, the more my coworkers go like, he's fucking weird. And even I have no interest in single killing, let alone serial killing.
Yeah, no.
So for somebody to be at that level is so far beyond a mental state that I can't even begin to sink my teeth into it and try and understand. Like, anybody can go like, no, I fucking get it. You've been at war. You know. It takes months and months and months and months of psychological breakdown and retraining to get people to the point where they can, even in a wartime situation, take someone's life. And there are people, I don't know about it in your exact instance, but there are people who even go through all that and still can't do it. And yet, there are just people who are living their daily lives and come to the conclusion of like, I'm just going to kill several random people. That is the interesting part is that
it's usually not necessarily random.
Okay, sure. But and this guy, the guy in the Howard Stern show, did specifically target prostitutes and said he had really no interest in killing anybody else. But they also had, like, were you beaten? Were you abused? Do you have any relation to prostitutes? And he said, no, it's just that they're simple, they're on the outskirts of society, and they're really easy to kill. Single blow to the head with a hammer. Said it really only took one. He never had to, like, savagely beat anybody. You club somebody in the head with a hammer once and leave them on the side of the road, and fucking 9.5 times out of 10, that's a dead person. He even said he let a couple of them go. It was rare, but he did let a couple go.
Did he say why?
No, he wasn't sure why he did it, though I actually don't believe, if his story is true at all, I personally don't believe that, because he did also mention that he would let them know that what they're doing is very dangerous and very stupid, and when they would laugh and shrug it off, it would anger him. So he does clearly have some sort of problem with the profession, whether even he realizes it or not. He does have a problem with it.
Fair enough. Wow. Yeah, maybe not the profession, but the dynamic,
the mentality behind it. Yes,
the dynamic or something.
Yeah,
very, very, very fascinating.
So let's get into an interesting segue. I watched a film. I watched two films back to back. It is a movie and its sequel. So I checked out 2000. I want to say it's 2009 and 2012. Feel free to fact check me on that, but I believe 2009 and 2012's The Collector and The Collection. Oh, fantastic image. Thank you for getting both of those. Fantastic images. Let me get my favorite thing out of the way up front, because you happen to know that this is a personal struggle of mine with my writing.
Yep.
I really love horror when it's done with as little explanation as possible.
Yeah.
Because for me, I really like Stephen King standard horror, which is the less you know, the scarier it is. For me, that's what makes something truly scary, is when you don't understand it, and yet it continues. So throughout two movies, even Saw 1, you kind of get a justification for why he's doing this, but you get a justification for why he's doing this specific instance, not really a grander scheme of what drove this dude to straight out, like, acts of worldly vengeance. The Collector, over two films, never, even once, happens to hint at the killer's motivation. He is truly just a person who takes joy in doing this. And to me, that is the scariest bit of all. This is a person who finds joy in tormenting and collecting people. So the first movie starts off, it's a family, they're having their home, heavy work done to their home. Like, big, major remodel, okay? One of the guys who's doing work on the home ends up finding out that his wife has gone to some loan sharks is overdue on the payment and absolutely has to come up with payment tonight. He has a history as a safecracker, has stopped doing that, but is now being dragged back into it due to his wife's debt. So he goes to this family's home, knowing that they have some sort of safe that they put in that he has seen while he's working on things, and is sure that there's something of value in the safe. And so he's going to break into the safe, steal whatever's there, pay off the loan sharks, and save his wife. So he goes into the home, and what he quickly discovers is that the entire home is booby-trapped, the family has been kidnapped and is currently being tortured, and now he is essentially stuck inside of this home with a family he's robbing and the person who is torturing and killing them.
Huh.
And the gimmick behind the person is that he's done this multiple times, and every time he does this, he takes one person from the home and collects them. He puts them inside of a big red trunk and uses them as bait for the next home that he goes into, and keeps the people and collects them and has a collection of people that he has chosen to keep from his home invasions.
Wow.
Dark. So the story is written by at least one, if not both, of the writers of Feast.
Okay.
And it is directed by the guy who did Saws 4, 5, 6, 7, if I'm remembering the numbers correctly. It was originally pitched as a prequel to Saw called The Midnight Man.
Okay.
But the owners of the Saw franchise turned it down, were not interested, and so instead it became its own standalone film series.
And is it good?
Let me go over the second one before
Okay.
I go over a little bit more into the esoteric. Is it good? The collection picks up almost right where the first one left off.
Okay.
The collection is just what the name implies. Some people go into his hideout to try and save someone and run into his collection. And his collection is not only a series of horrible traps, but people he has taken and psychologically broken down in various ways. Some have gone feral, some have a glorified Stockholm syndrome, some are trying to get out, but they are his collection. I will say my biggest disappointment of the collection, it does what Aliens does. And actually Hatchet, which I reviewed on here. Now, while I like Aliens, and I like Hatchet too, for some reason, horror films really seem to feel a need to blend that line between horror and action with sequels.
Oh, okay.
You get what we just up it to a scale where suddenly, machine guns need to be involved to make our villains seem really villainous. And I think Saw actually had one of the strongest serial killer sequels because they upped it by making it a whole house but didn't take it into straight up action. You know what I mean? They really kept it as still torture porn, gore porn, masked serial killer. It really felt like an escalation of Saw. It was the first movie, but grander, without going into being an action movie. Yeah. This went a little more action. Not terrible, not bad, just an observation that I didn't love.
Okay.
So first film probably stronger than the second film.
Usually happens.
But second film, better budget, better filming, better sound, a lot going for it. From the image here, he has these great cases of bodies he's mutilated and kind of put on display in the entryway. I'll spoil this little bit. His hideout is an old hotel that he has modified into his murder dome, whatever you want to call it. But those were really cool and actually play an interesting part in the finale. Okay, let's go into the critical ratings for this film.
Okay.
Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, and I think even Google ratings put this below 5 out of 10, sitting at a strong 4.5 out of 10. And most of the critics say the same thing. This is gore porn. This is torture porn. People don't want to see this. People don't like this. No one likes this kind of film anymore. It's done. It's overdone. It's played out, and it's dead. And actually, funny enough, I recently had a review on one of my comic scripts that I wrote that tried to tell me the same thing. No one is interested in gore porn. No one is interested in torture porn. The horror genre has completely abandoned this and moved into sophisticated horror that works on character development and plot.
Wow, that's really pretentious.
Yes! And beyond that, I will also go on to say, while I understand what they're saying, Haunting of Hill House, American Horror Story, what was the one Tom Hiddleston was just in about the haunted house? Forgive me, I can't recall, but Google Tom Hiddleston horror movie, it'll come right up.
Sure.
Yes, that is a big name in horror, but what I will caveat that with, big Crimson Peak, correct, yes. That's a big name in long format horror. Can you do you have the runtime for Crimson Peak up? Because I want to say it's closer to 3 hours.
No, it's an hour and 59 minutes.
Is it really that? Okay, closer to 2 hours, but actually still surprisingly short. I will say for the most part, I truly feel like that kind of horror comes across.
This is 2015, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Older but not old.
Okay.
That's mostly long format horror. And I will say, go watch American Horror Stories, the new show they're doing, where it's one episode, one thing. And the third episode, which is the first one that doesn't do 2 episodes to fill out the story, and you get 5 minutes of exposition dump. You literally get a character who goes, well, here's my evil plot, and here's why I did it, and here's all the background of why. They had to exposition dump to scream it into one episode.
Yep.
And for anybody who wants to say that torture porn and gore porn are dead, well, The Collector and the Collection has a huge cult following. The Terrifier was such a low-budget film and was straight-up torture porn. It's getting a sequel that the fan base is begging for. It won awards at multiple horror shows. Look, torture porn and gore porn aren't going anywhere. Is it niche? Yes. But you release that shit on a Halloween weekend when it's not a pandemic outside and go see how many people turn up.
Oh, yeah.
People may walk away going, oh, it was gross. Oh, it was shitty. Oh, it was cliche. But they're still going. They're still putting
By the way, like, horror movies make tons based on what they cost to make.
Mm-hmm. Horror films are cheap, and their return is Paranormal Activity. I don't even like that movie. And I will say, can you pull me up the box office mojo on that one really quick, if you don't mind?
The first one, right?
Yes, because if I remember correctly, that's at least a 5X film.
Oh,
they
easily.
made 5 times, easily 5 times, what they spent on that. And gore porn and torture porn are cheap. Those effects don't take a lot to look great. And actually, if you don't mind, after you pull it up, let me know what The Collector is. I'm actually curious what the spend versus the make on that. Anybody, it's easy to come out and say, well, nobody likes that because none of my friends like it. Well, box office numbers disagree with you. People do go see torture porn. They do.
Budget?
Paranormal Activity?
Yep.
Okay.
Budget, $15,000.
Oh my god, that's so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
I can make that movie right now.
Worldwide, $193,355,800.
So over 10x?
Oh, yeah, easily, dude. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And again, I don't even like Paranormal Activity. And chat, we even have chat is saying, yeah, kind of cheeseball. Yeah, it was cheeseball, but people showed up. And okay, not a good example of gore porn, torture porn, but can you please pull me up the Box Office Mojo? There's a plug for Box Office Mojo. Sponsor us. For The Collector. I don't think it's a 5X film because, unfortunately, this was originally picked up by Dimension Films.
Oh, and they just crap stuff out to video.
Well, remember, Dimension Films is gone. They were
Oh.
one of the last films picked up by Dimension, and Dimension actually fell apart before they got to release it. So it was produced by Dimension, but actually released under a different studio, which did hurt its release. It did not release in as many theaters as was originally planned.
Yep. Freestyle releasing is what they called.
Okay.
It made $3 million on its opening.
Off of...
It doesn't have a budget. Weird.
Shocking. Do you mind just Googling that? The collector budget for me?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
But I happen to know, without knowing the exact numbers, Hatchet made money. Terrifier made money. Gore porn and torture porn are alive and well. It's not for everybody. And I'm not sitting here going like, it's the next blockbuster. Fucking
okay.
Tom Cruise should be in it. But...
So its budget was
here.
$3 million.
So it made its budget.
It made its budget
In opening weekend.
Worldwide, it made $10 million.
So it more than doubled its budget coming in.
But
and
that's
I know
not a
companies, a lot of companies don't consider that to be a success, but by any layman, making more than twice what you pumped in is good money.
The horror movies, folks love making 2X. That's their bread and butter.
So anybody who's out there trying to tell you that torture porn and gore porn aren't worth your time and aren't good, don't listen to them. I will stand by the collector and the collection. Personally, for me, and again, I am in that niche. I do like torture porn and gore porn. And these do have character work. Legitimately, there is character work in the collector and the collection. I honestly have to go for collector, probably an 8 out of 10. And the collection will go 7 to 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, I was about to say, yeah, because the collection did not make its budget back.
Really? That's actually surprising.
Yeah, it made the same amount opening weekend, about $3 million, give or take a couple 100,000.
Okay.
But total, it made under $10 million, and its budget was $10 million.
Oof. Okay. That hurts, but I can see why. Because again, they did that action ramp up. So the real story behind the collector and the collection is actually the third film, The Collected. Started shooting in 2019.
Oh no!
Was cut off by the pandemic. Was supposed to start reshooting January of 2021, and unfortunately, as of April 2021. The director and the producers have not heard back from the main money people. They've been ghosted. They haven't heard yes. They haven't heard no. Production has not restarted, and so far, sounds like it's not going to restart. And even worse, they've heard from the crews working on the films. It sounds like a bunch of props were stolen. A bunch of the sets were destroyed. So it's seeming like The Collected is never going to happen, and the trilogy is never going to truly get its ending unless a fucking miracle happens, which is really, really, really unfortunate.
A celebrity needs to get attached to this, and it needs to get revived.
Yeah, truly.
That's usually the only way these things come back like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a huge blow, and I feel so bad for the directors because I know, and again, it's one of those movies that's not for everybody. This is not me saying everyone should rush out and watch this movie, but you and I are big fans of Feast.
Yeah.
Feast holds a special place in our heart as just a really fucking out there horror movie that even left us as out there people going, the fuck was that?
I remember enjoying the first Hostel when I saw it as a kid. Well,
see, I'm not a Hostel guy. I
didn't like any of the sequels,
Never
but the
saw
first one. Yeah, not a fan of the sequels.
No, and I even like Eli Roth. Don't like Hostel.
That's true. I realize that now, because we went to the like Eli Roth thing in Vegas,
yes,
which
we did.
You know what?
Okay. It was okay.
It was okay. A couple of them were interesting. I will never.
There was a couple effects where I had to double take and go, how do they do that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. There was one in particular where you could see under the table, but they were still pulling things out of the dude's guts.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool as shit.
And like your brain automatically goes, mirrors? But at the same time, like, we're looking at it going, well, it's not a fucking mirror.
Yeah, exactly. So it might have been like half a table
Something.
or something, but it was really well done. It's the same reason I like to go watch magicians. I'm obviously not going, look, it's real magic. I'm just going like, oh, that's a really clever way of deceiving the eye. So.
Yeah. So there's collector and collection. If you're a Saw fan, it's worth checking out. Base level. Mm-hmm. If you really like Saw and are into the trap aspect, the collector has some fantastic traps. Collection. I'm not saying it's bad. I still gave it a 7 or a 7.5, but I understand why less people came out for the collection than the collector. I do. When you scale up like that, it's just harder to get that appeal. It just is.
It's just
and sequels are hard.
It also becomes kind of cartoonish with horror movies.
Sure, and honestly, in general, most number 2s don't do as well. There rarely is 2 as good as 1. Most of the time, 3 outshines 2. Like the few examples are like Terminator 2 is one of the only ones to totally outdo Terminator 1. And while I'm not in this camp, a lot of people do argue that Aliens is better than Alien. Again,
I think they're different kinds of movies.
That's
the problem.
And I prefer Alien.
You can't just put them side by side like
that. No. One is an atmospheric horror and one is an action horror.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly. Like
different director, different writer.
Entirely different. It's the same reason you can't compare Prometheus to Alien.
Oh,
because
God.
It's entirely a different genre at this point. Anyways.
Okay, so let's do this. I know I have a lot more to talk about, but you have one thing, and I got to do the thing I always got to do when we do this. So I want you to start. So give me because I know the synopsis. So start with a synopsis of your thing, and then I'll come back and I'll prod you with some questions on it. Yes?
Awesome. So,
okay.
First off, I finished Mass Effect 3, which means I have now finished the original trilogy, and I had always said that as soon as I finished 3, I was going to play Andromeda this time and do a full review of all of them. However, the only caveat is that I had always said there were 2 games that would interrupt that. One of them was Ratchet and Clank, and the other one was Horizon. And actually, it's Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart finally came out. It had been delayed a little bit, and the reason that I'm super into this series is because I have followed the series throughout several different consoles, where I think I played the first one I played originally was on the PlayStation 2, the little slim one. Eventually, I went back and played the older ones when they re-released them. But yeah, I fell in love with
the first one not a PS2? Was it a PS1 game?
I thought the first one might have been, I always forget because
you go on.
I always forget because the PS2 area went on for a while.
It did. That's a really long-lived console.
So it could be just something that it was initially on one. I just know that.
Okay, it came up really quick. I'm sorry. Ratchet and Clank was November 4th, 2002 for the PlayStation 2.
Okay, there you go. I never played the original because I didn't have a PS2 until I was old enough to buy one myself, and by that point, the big thing was the Slim, which was great actually. Love that thing.
As a collector, I have both.
Yeah, I do too. Actually, I definitely do too because I ended up getting one after the fact. But at that point, I fell in love with the Ratchet and Clank series. It's a fun little series. It's not just that it's a fun little 3D shoot 'em up, because that's kind of the tactic. Like, you can literally do a bunch of stunts to not get shot. So I would compare it to some of the fights are very much a 3D Cuphead, where it's all about timing, hopping, hit the boss a certain way, timing, hopping, shooty. Except in this, you get a whole arsenal of weapons, and they've included a bunch of things from the older ones, weapons that you remember, and
Because I know you're kind of a for lack of a better term, a lazy gamer like I am. Can I guess what your favorite running weapon is? Because I think it's the same one as my favorite running weapon.
Oh, I don't know at this point. It's too soon for this one, but it's usually whatever little blaster they do.
Oh, it's not Mr. Gurkon?
Oh, fuck
Mr.
yeah! But that's
Zircon.
not a
Mr.
that's
Zircon's
not a
the best weapon.
That's not a weapon. That is just like a side thing. You don't like no. That's its own
Okay,
level.
the best item. No, it's not a level because you drop them and they run around and auto attack things.
No, do you remember the disco ball?
Oh, I do remember the disco ball.
That one was way doper than fucking Zircon because
I love
you
the Mr.
immediately
Zircon.
you immediately stun the entire room, and then they dance disco while you damage them.
What brings Mr. Zircon over the top is the audio stabs for Mr. Zircon.
Oh my god!
Because I just left there, Mr. Zircon shows no mercy.
No, dude, I'm not gonna say that it's not fantastic. In this game so far, they don't have a Mr. Zircon yet.
No!
But they have Mr. Fun Guy, which is basically a flying mushroom that does the same fucking thing as Mr. Zircon.
Oh, I like it, but I don't love it.
It is so on the fucking nose. I love it.
Okay, hold on. I don't want to cut you off, but I pulled up a list of
No
the
spoilers.
best Mr. Zircon.
No spoilers.
It's a list
Okay.
of the best Mr. Zircon quotes.
Go on.
So after the player dies, Mr. Zircon will go, Mr. Zircon is ashamed. Or while playing, are you ready to die? Good, because Mr. Zircon is ready to kill.
No, it is very beautiful. Actually, you want to know what my
Mr.
fucking
Zircon conducts a symphony of pain.
That's my new favorite quote. No, I love Mr. Zircon. I'm just saying that's kind of what I wanted to get into, though.
One
Series,
more.
Okay.
Mr. Zircon is inadequate for this mission. Just kidding.
I hate you.
It's so good. I love Mr.
It is
Zircon.
good, but that's one kind of a keystone of the series as well. Is its humor.
Yes.
The writing is fucking on point. Like
Yes.
for arguably a kid's game, like some of the fucking there's characters that talk like this.
Yeah,
right?
but
Like,
it's writing that line.
it's funny voices. It's very much a Pixar movie, I would say, where kids are gonna enjoy it, but there's something for the adults for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, some of the lines fucking floor me. The existential janitor that is hinted at to be maybe God.
Oh, yeah.
I love that guy.
They still have not given him a background, have they?
I don't think so. And by the way, his lines, like he has some fucking wonderful lines. It's my favorite character of the side characters, of course. But anyways, so it brings it. Now, they reboot. The last one was a soft reboot, but not. It was like a prequel, but not.
Yeah.
It was.
So is this continuing off of that?
I think so.
I don't hate it. I don't love that.
Yeah. I think this is a couple of years after that one. But general concept is Ratchet has fixed the Dimensionator for... Sorry, Clank has fixed the Dimensionator for Ratchet, so
Okay.
Ratchet can go try and find his people. However, shenanigans happen,
Dun, dun,
and
dun.
the universe starts to break into these rifts. So there's these new mechanics that helps you traverse the rifts. There's new puzzles that are going to help you repair damage and so on and so forth. I'm doing a spoiler-free one, mostly because I've only played the first planet and a half.
Oh, okay. So you're still really early.
Still really early.
Go.
This was kind of the
Okay.
first look. However, this is the game I bought the PS5 for.
Yeah.
So I had really high expectations going in.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
For what?
To finish a couple of other things that I'm playing.
Well, and that's why I always said I was gonna finish the Mass Effect series, the original trilogy,
Yep.
which I just did.
Okay.
And this was the only thing that was going to interrupt me playing Andromeda, and it just so happened to fall. I even actually,
but that's the I can't help but notice that that's the one you're willing to interrupt.
I actually didn't realize it was out for almost a month because I'm a jackass.
Yeah, it's been out.
I did not realize it was out. I was actually waiting with bated breath, and then somewhere along the lines, I went camping, for fuck's sake. It just fucked my brain up.
Okay.
But anyways,
camping will do that.
So far, I'm at an 8 out of 10. So I'm enjoying the new weapons. I'm liking so far the plot line. I do gotta say, it feels a little sluggish with the new haptic controls.
Really? That's shocking because that controller is made of magic, as far as I'm concerned.
I like what it's doing. I just don't know that I like how the game is doing it. Okay. Right? But I will say it makes it feel a little bit clunkier. Like you can't quite move. I might just have that same syndrome that every Ratchet and Clank game has, where you feel like a fucking plebe in the beginning. By the end of it, you're a fucking god.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that might be it.
And I can see that, especially coming off of Mass Effect, that kind of gameplay being kind of a hard adjustment to make.
Yeah, well, and it's just the action is, I will say, to be fair, I keep doing that when people have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Keep doing it.
I will say the fight. You know what I'm missing? I'm missing a lock-on feature.
Interesting.
Remember how you used to be able to hold and your perspective would get locked on?
Yes.
Unless I'm a fucking agent and I just haven't found it, which now I have to go look up.
And luckily for me, that's a feature I don't use a lot.
I use it mostly during boss fights.
Okay, buy that.
Because a lot of the boss fights here are platformy boss fights where the boss is shooting different things, like, you know, laser wave.
Dodge, shoot, dodge, shoot.
Exactly. Yep. So it's always super helpful to be able to lock on. One of my biggest complaints, though, for this is I got 3 or 4 bolts, and I've only passed the first planet and a half.
Okay. Like
the golden bolts.
Yep.
They're a little too easy to find, and I will say I like that they change what they changed. They're cosmetic only now. It's not like a big armor or anything.
Okay. Not the end of the world. That's
exactly. Fine. So I feel like that they've lost their luster and their magic. That's kind of my I have an issue. They're not quite as exclusive anymore. There's a couple other things.
Well, because if they're going to give you a super armor, they're going to make you pay money for it because that's the world now.
Yeah, and that's just it. I got to figure something out. Because some of the collectibles, I'm like, are they even fucking worth it? Like, maybe I don't want to change the currency in game, what it looks like, because I have it set to rubies. I think rubies is pretty good. Instead of, you know, how it used to be bolts.
Yeah.
Nuts and bolts. You can change it to rubies. And one of them, you can also
weird, but okay.
Yeah, well, you can change it into, like, battery packs is another one. That one was weird. It was cylinders coming at me. I kept thinking I was getting shot by a weird weapon of some sort. It didn't really work out for me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's got the customizable, and it feels like they're starting to monetize, and that kind of sucks. So, yeah.
The one comment I got from the only person I know who played it, and admittedly, what he had said, his exact quote was, "Look, I haven't played all of them, but I've played a lot of them, and this just feels like more of the same." So he didn't hate it, but he was like, don't go out of your way for it, because really at the end of the day, this is just more Ratchet and Clank.
But to be honest, suck it. You're what, 5-6 games in? Like,
oh, you're more than that.
How much?
You're more than that.
No, I think this is 6 at highest.
At highest, you really okay? You want to make that claim? That's what you're gonna lock in with.
Yeah,
buddy. Okay, let's see. Games. You're gonna keep counting. I'm gonna read them off.
Figures.
Okay, Ratchet and Clank.
Okay.
Going Commando,
Okay.
Up Your Arsenal,
Uh-huh.
Ratchet Deadlocked,
Okay.
Size Matters,
I've never even heard of that one.
Rift Apart. Then we get into the Future Saga, which is Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, Crack in Time,
Okay.
Into the Nexus. Then we get into side games, which are Secret Agent
okay.
Clank,
We're-
All for One, Full
not-
Frontal Assault, and Ratchet and Clank the Reboot.
We're not talking about the side.
Then we
games.
go into mobile, Going Mobile, Before the Nexus.
Oh. Well, okay. So
What did we hit for main games? Did we hit 8?
I think we hit 8. So I was still wrong. However, Quest for Booty's not a real game.
Okay, hold on.
It's a DLC.
You-
I'm just saying.
I'm
still
look
wrong.
that up.
But
Quest for Booty is a short game developed by Insomniac Games and was released in August 2008 for the PlayStation Network. It was later released as a Blu-ray disc in Europe and Asia, but not North America. It is known as Ratchet and Clank Quest for Booty in most PAL regions, and as Ratchet and Clank Future Gaiden Kaizuko Dark Water no Hayohu in Japan. Taking place where Tools of Destruction left off, the game focuses on Ratchet and Talwyn's search for Clank.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's. I didn't think that was a real game. I thought it was a DLC from Tools of Destruction.
Can't help you there. Okay.
Still, 8 out of 10. I'm not sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, we've spent some time on this. You're going 8 out of 10, so, like, it's worth me picking up. Do you think the price is going to drop soon? I like, not because I want to doubt the series, but because I'd love to not pay $70 for a game.
I'm sure it will in like a year.
Oof. Good news, I'm still playing Persona.
Well, this is one of the new like flagship games, man. This was
I
on the poster for the PS5 launch.
Yeah, and I probably will just end up picking it up. Luckily, there's a couple of other Switch games that are going to distract me, maybe before I pick this up. And I'm a piece of shit. I own the Ratchet and Clank collection for PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And one is... I'm not even going to call
I
one bad.
thugged it out. You
One is so
have
rough.
to too. It's
I'm on the final boss, but it's just really rough. And I'm like, do I want to finish this? But I need to play 2 and 3 at least. Even if I don't finish 1, I need to play 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I
I thugged it
I
out
own it.
because I also got the collection and I finished that son of a bitch.
You know what I also own? I own the Jack and Daxter collection. Never even popped it in.
I didn't like those games.
I've heard a mix.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I miss that train. I also miss the Crash Bandicoot train.
I love Crash. I just rebought it on Switch, and honestly, that game is made for Switch. I'm further on it in Switch than I was on the original, or I own it on PlayStation and got super frustrated and was like, I'm never playing this again. And then I saw it for $50 on Switch, and I went, okay, one more time. And then I bought it. And honestly, it works so well on Switch. I'm further on Switch than I have been any other time I've played the game.
Dude, I almost so I needed a little bit of a break for Mass Effect, and I almost went back and replayed Control. I was like, it doesn't count. I've already finished it.
Oh, buddy, I'll hand you some new stuff to play instead of Control.
No,
not that I dislike Control, but there's some other stuff that you should sink time into.
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, well.
I have to finish this now.
Okay, here's what I want to do. I'm going to close my eyes. And maybe I'll sing a song, and you're going to surprise me with the next movie I'm going to review. So,
Okay. And he's gonna review from a very poorly named fucking URL. I think he's got it at this
You
point.
gave it away! I know what it is based on what you said, you piece of shit. Okay, I want to not get super spoilery with this because I know you haven't seen it.
I have not, but I am very interested to see how angry you get. Sometimes it's angry when you first see things, or sometimes it's later when you reconsider and see them again, and you're like, no, I used to love this thing, and now I hate it. So I'm curious.
So let's start off by saying I'm a big James Gunn fan.
Yep.
And was a James Gunn fan before Guardians. Because I'm a Trauma guy.
Mm-hmm.
I knew him in Trauma. I loved him with Slither.
Okay.
So coming into this, I had really, really high expectations. And this is not one where I pull the rug out from under you. I like this film. This was fun. One of the things I don't like, but I think we all kind of guessed was going to happen, is this had some deceptive marketing.
Of course.
Let's get this out of the way right now. Out of all those characters that are on the screen, 50% of them die.
We knew that, though.
30% of them die. I don't want to give the 30% of them die well before you would guess that 30% of them die.
Is this like the Deadpool thing? Deadpool 2, I would say.
Yes and no.
With X-Force.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. That's what I'll say. And honestly, that was the weakest part for me. And actually, the screenshot you have up is missing characters.
Well, shit.
At least one. Off the top of my head, there's at least one missing. And it's actually the character that I feel was done the dirtiest. So, I guess this is a pseudo spoiler, but again, you have a 50-50 shot of any character you like or dislike dying. So here's the one character I will spoil that does die. I won't tell you when, I won't tell you how, I won't tell you why,
Sure,
none of
give me a
that.
name so I can look up.
Mongal. Mongal dies, and doesn't just die, but dies in such a stupid, unceremonious, anticlimactic way. They actually did the character dirty. Mongal is the child of Mongol, who went toe-to-toe with Superman, like blow for blow. If anybody remembers like the DC animated movies that they did, Mongol was the one where Superman grabs Mongol by the front of his shirt and goes, I want to thank you. Because for the last 20 years, I've lived on a planet made of papier-mâché dolls, and every punch I've thrown, I've had to pull for fear that I was going to utterly decimate whoever I hit. And with you, I don't need to hold back. And Superman proceeds to savagely beat Mongol the fuck down. But even though it looks like a red-ass beatdown, even Superman has to admit, this is me going 100. Every other fight you've seen me do, I'm at 20, 30, 40, even 50.
Yeah.
This is Superman going 100. And it takes 100 to beat down Mongol. Mongal and her brother Mongol, I'm probably fucking up his name, killed their father and took his place.
Oh.
Mongal gets taken out like a straight up bitch. I was genuinely insulted at how they took out Mongal in this movie. Genuinely.
That might be one of the nerdiest things you've ever said to me.
And legitimately, it's one of the nerdiest things I've said, especially while wearing a Flash shirt. And I think for the casual audience, no one will care.
Probably.
No one will give the slightest fuck. But for me personally, and she's not the only one who's done dirty, she's just the one who's done dirtiest.
Yeah.
Mongal done dirty. So, positives for this. Fucking A, goddammit, a DC movie with Technicolor. It's not just grays and fucking blacks and grit.
Funny.
James Gunn breathes some life into the DC universe, because what I've been saying for the longest time, the DC movies are comic books minus fun.
They're the 90s.
No, because the 90s were so over
That's
the top,
true,
it was
they
nothing
were.
but fun. This is the worst part of the 80s. Look, I know I'm in the minority here. I know that I'm in the minority. But for me, what really, really, really killed the Dark Knight trilogy was that it looked at Batman and went, all this comic book stuff is garbage. Let's make it real. And so even something like Bane, who you could justify with some sort of pseudoscience, loosely sci-fi shit, they went, no, Bane is too whimsical. It's just a steroid, and he's not super strong. He just doesn't feel pain. They're so pretentious and so far up their own ass with removing the okay, this is me using colorful language, but the fun part, the part that makes comic books, are removed from those. And honestly, BVS, Man of Steel, Justice League all do the same thing. They really remove that loosely
they
whimsical
just take themselves
element.
too serious. That's the
Yes,
problem.
dark and gritty is a tone you can take, but to make your entire franchise dark and gritty, like, look,
a little much.
Dark Knight Returns worked in the 80s. Personally, I don't love it, but I understand it's one of the most beloved Batman runs ever. Dark Knight Returns worked because it was this gritty take on Batman. But let's go ahead and notice there's no Wonder Woman Returns, Superman Returns, Green Lantern Returns, Martian Manhunter Returns, Flash Returns, Cyborg Returns. There's no one else done in that series.
Yeah,
none.
It was more.
No one else took that approach.
It's more
None.
lightning in a bottle than
Yes.
what you should be making the norm.
It is not the basis for a franchise. And Suicide Squad, this one, the last one tried. It failed. And whether that's David Ayer's fault, whether that's the producer's fault, I can't speak to something I didn't see. I know David Ayer is out there right now saying, if you got to see my cut of the movie, it'd be a different... I don't know. Maybe that's what they said about the fucking Justice League cut. And did I like the Snyder cut more than the original? Yes. Do I think it redeemed everything? No.
It wasn't that much better.
No. It was marginally... It was a better cut, but I still think people would have walked out of that theater going, eh. And that was David Ayer's Suicide. Like, Suicide Squad wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
But it wasn't good. This is a notably good movie. John Cena deserves a spinoff. Margot Robbie is finally doing the fucking Brooklyn accent that I've been begging her to do since the beginning. King Shark is just flat out enjoyable.
Okay, you know who plays him, right?
Well, it's Steve Agee doing the motion capture, and it's Sylvester Stallone doing the voice.
That tickles me.
I don't love Stallone, and he kills it in this. Kills it.
I mean,
kills
it's like Diesel is Groot, man.
Yes, exactly.
I get it.
Same energy.
Yeah.
And I will even go, look, I count Idris Elba the same way I count Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a safe choice. You can cast them as a puppy in the 101 Dalmatians, and they'll be the best one. Because they're both just so solidly good that I'm waiting to see them do something bad so I have something to compare against. They're just safe choices, and Idris Elba's no different here.
To be fair, I feel that way about Daniel Craig as well, but I know you disagree.
Yeah, I didn't love him as Bond, but I get why a lot of people do. It's my same Superman thing. It's not my Superman. It's not my Bond. It's not my... weirdly, I'm a Pierce Brosnan Bond guy.
Same. That is my Bond. He is so fucking suave.
He's
right?
so suave.
Jesus Christ, that man is smooth.
Wicked smooth.
But no, I agree. However, I understood how the new movies were a reboot, and it was really good to see how he does get more suave. So, I thought I just thought they were well done, even though I know that people hated the end.
To that point, Bloodsport is a retake on Will Smith's Deadshot. 100%. He is a retake on Will Smith, but he does. Honestly, I did not like Will. I know a lot of people are like, no, Will Smith brought it. No, he didn't. That wasn't Deadshot. It wasn't. That was not Deadshot. He missed it.
I thought
Deadshot
was doing Will Smith.
Yes, Deadshot was never like a gangsta. That was never his thing. Deadshot was never so like in your face kind of shit. That
he was him. He professional. He's just there to get shit done.
He wasn't cocky, but he was sure.
Yeah.
And Will Smith came off as cocky. So Bloodshot is our Bloodsport, not Bloodshot. Bloodsport is our redo of that, and Idris Elba brings it. He does it well, solidly. James Gunn's Suicide Squad, I'll go 8.5 to 9. It's really good. It's really, really good, and it's what DC needs to do going forward. They need to find directors who are interested, and they need to go with that. And if the new Batman movie takes even 1% of that energy from Suicide Squad, the Batman franchise is on to a better run
I
than it has been.
don't know, because I thought they were going for more of a detective story Batman.
But
So more
that's
like
what Batman needed to do.
No, for sure. I just mean it's not going to be colorful and fun like this.
No,
It's not going to be Batman
I'm
forever.
not saying 1% of the style. I'm saying 1% of the energy.
Okay.
1% of that. It doesn't need to be this dark, overly gritty shit. And I think going detective for God damn it! His first comic was Detective Comics.
No, 100%.
How the fuck have we gone
So why do
this
you
many
think-
Batman movies without doing a detective
Why do you
film?
think the first Arkham game was such a hit?
The big thing was Detective Mode.
Batman. Yeah, he's figuring his way through it. All right,
Blows
so
my mind. Blows my fucking mind.
so what was the last actual DC movie released before this? Do you remember?
Birds of Prey.
Oh God, that was awful. Or so I've heard.
I wouldn't go that far.
I haven't seen it.
Birds of Prey. So if we're breaking the movie into thirds, Act 1, Act 2, solid.
Okay.
Act 3 is a big letdown.
Endings are hard.
I'm not saying the ending, I'm saying Act 3.
Oh, fun.
An entire third of the movie goes, okay. But the first 2/3 of the movie are solid.
So, okay. Wow, I was going to say, like, I thought Shazam was the last one, but no.
That's just before Birds of Prey, and Shazam was really good. I'm really excited for Shazam 2.
I know. It's such a letdown. I was
Oh,
hoping
no,
they
I'm
were
wrong.
on an
I'm wrong.
uptick.
I'm wrong. Birds of Prey, then Wonder Woman 2.
Oh, that's right.
And that's how forgettable Wonder Woman 2 is.
It's so forgettable. I never even saw it.
Look, it's worth a watch, and here's how I will soften the blow. Don't approach it as a movie themed in the 80s.
Okay.
Approach it as a movie written in the 80s.
Okay. So we're talking War Games. We're talking Bueller's Day Off. We're talking Starfighter.
We're talking Mannequin. We're talking Babes in Toyland. We're talking Last Starfighter's a good one. But truly, even chat, I liked Wonder Woman 1984. I didn't hate it, but I had to keep reminding myself that they were going for an 80s aesthetic. And I think for a casual audience, they took the 80s aesthetic so far as to not just approach it with an 80s style, but approach it with an 80s sensibility on writing.
Oh, I could see how that would clash with folks.
Yes. So that's where watch it. It's free on HBO Max. You can see it for free. It's not going to cost you shit. And I know you have HBO Max.
Thanks
Watch
for
it.
outing me like that.
Please. I even think your wife will actually probably really like it. It's not bad, but the first one is better, and I think it clashed with a lot of people for having this really 80s mentality writing style.
Okay, so do you feel DC's on an uptick, or are they just kind of hit or miss then?
You know, honestly, at this point, it's a swing, it's a hit, it's a swing, it's a miss, it's a swing, it's a hit, it's a swing, it's a miss. I don't think we will solidly know what DC is doing until all three. Flash, Batman, and Captain Marvel Shazam 2. Until all three of those are out and at least 2 of 3 are good, I don't think you can say where they're at until they hit at least 2 of those 3.
Yeah, I just have one last thing to say.
Okay.
I really hope
then we got to play out.
Yep, I really hope Justice League Dark is still a thing. They said it was still in development. I really want to see it, and bring back that goddamn Constantine. He was fantastic.
Dude, he was so good, and he got robbed. He got because that show. Honestly, I blame my wife and I because anything we watch dies, and we loved that movie.
He got a little more. He got. Wasn't he in Legends of Tomorrow?
Yes, and that show, I didn't even make it to where he was in it because...
Yeah, but you don't like the Arrowverse.
I liked The Flash.
Did you like The Flash?
Black Lightning. I like Stargirl. But Legends of Tomorrow is so pathetically bad, I fucking couldn't. Okay, the last news for that, as of January of this year, 7 months ago... Justice League Dark is in development at HBO Max. And that's the last we've heard.
I'm hoping it continues. That is such a bunch of fun stories.
And a bunch of fun characters. Yeah. It looks like J.J. Abrams was attached, and I know he's very meticulous and takes his time. So there's also rumor. So here, well, really quick, and then we have to play out, okay? So the final rumors. J.J. Abrams is doing a Justice League Dark show on HBO Max, Constantine show on HBO Max, Emerald Fennell's Zatanna movie for HBO Max, Madame Xanadu show on HBO Max, and that is the slate that they have as of January 2021.
I hope it happens. Also,
any one of them.
Suicide Squad, give it a rating.
No, I had said I think it's a solid 8 to 8.5.
Okay, fair enough. And on that note, check us out Monday nights, 7 to 8 Pacific on N5D Podcasts on YouTube. Tuesday nights, twitch.tv/Metagame Network. That's where we play video games with other folks. It's multiplayer night. I'm not sure what we're playing this week, but check that out. I believe Bias Bros is still on a bit of a hiatus, but...
the show has finally started, so we just gotta wait till it does its run.
Perfect. So it's on hiatus, but if you want to check out the older episodes, they're also up on 5D Podcasts YouTube. And on that note, final words, Bonsai.
Pray for DC Films. Potentially leaving Warner Brothers. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know.
That's true. We'll see.
I don't know.
They've been partners for a long time.
They've been owned for a long time by...